A Zen master once said, "Leap fearlessly from the edge, surrender yourself fully, and return renewed." Only then can truth no longer deceive you. These words strike at the heart of what it means to let go, to release our grip on certainty, to loosen our attachment to outcomes, and to trust life's unfolding. True freedom is born not from control, but from surrender. And yet, this is easier said than done. In a world overflowing with deadlines, pressure, and unspoken expectations, how do we embody this ancient wisdom? How do we step aside from constant resistance and rediscover the natural flow of peace? In this video, we'll explore 13 timeless Buddhist principles that illuminate this path. Each principle invites us into a state of effortless harmony, where balance is not something we chase, but something that naturally arises when we stop forcing. From mindfulness to acceptance, from letting go to compassion, you'll see how these teachings can transform the way you live each day. Before we begin, a gentle reminder: many of you who find value here haven't yet subscribed. If this message resonates, consider joining our growing community. A simple click, a like, or sharing this video with someone you care about helps these teachings reach further, touching lives in ways we can't always see. Principle 1. The art of non-attachment. At the heart of Buddhist wisdom lies a gentle but powerful teaching: non-attachment. It is not about abandoning love, effort, or ambition. It is about loosening the tight grip we place on outcomes, people, and possessions. It is learning to hold life with open hands rather than clenched fists. But what does this look like in our modern lives? Imagine you've poured yourself into a project at work. You've stayed late, invested energy, and quietly hoped it would lead to recognition or promotion. That hope itself is not wrong. It's human. But when it hardens into expectation, it becomes a thread of attachment, tying your peace of mind to an outcome beyond your control. Non-attachment reminds us to focus on the sincerity of our effort, not the weight of the reward. To give fully, yet release the illusion that we can command results. When we let go of controlling outcomes, we also let go of the anxiety, restlessness, and disappointment that come with them. Life, after all, does not move according to our script. The river flows as it will, and peace arises when we allow ourselves to flow with it. This teaching is just as vital in our relationships. How often have we expected someone to behave a certain way, only to feel hurt when they did not? That silent script we write for others is another form of attachment. When we practice non-attachment, we begin to accept people as they are, without demanding that they bend to our desires. This acceptance creates space for deeper, more genuine connections, rooted in understanding, not control. For personal growth, non-attachment becomes a doorway to freedom. Without the fear of failure weighing us down, we dare to try, to explore, to step beyond our comfort zones. If success is not the sole measure of our worth, then every attempt becomes an opportunity for learning and self-discovery. And perhaps most importantly, non-attachment teaches us to enjoy the journey rather than obsess over the destination, to find beauty in the present moment, right here, right now, instead of constantly chasing the next achievement that promises happiness. This doesn't mean we stop setting goals or abandon our dreams. It means we refuse to chain our happiness to them. We walk the path, but we do not become prisoners of where it leads. In this way, non-attachment is not a loss, it is liberation. A way of living lightly, with more joy, balance, and peace in every breath. Principle 2. Mindfulness, the practice of being here now. Among all the teachings of Buddhism, few are as central as mindfulness. It is the art of coming home to the present moment, of being fully alive to what is happening within us and around us, without judgment, without rushing to label things as good or bad. Mindfulness is a simple practice, yet it carries the power to transform the way we experience life. But what does this really look like in daily life? Imagine holding a cup of tea in your hands. Most of the time, We drink mindlessly, scrolling through our phones, lost in tomorrow's tasks, or replaying yesterday's conversations. Yet mindfulness invites us to pause, to feel the gentle heat of the cup against our palms. Notice the delicate fragrance rising with the steam. Taste the subtle flavors with full attention. In that moment, tea is no longer just a drink. It becomes a gateway to peace. And it doesn't stop with tea. Imagine being stuck in traffic, a situation that so easily sparks irritation. Instead of letting frustration rise uncontrollably, mindfulness gives us the ability to observe. You notice the tension in your jaw, the way your hands tighten around the wheel. You take a slow breath, softening your body. The traffic doesn't disappear, but your suffering lessens. You begin to realize, while you cannot control the outside world, you can transform the way you meet it. In relationships, mindfulness is a gift. To truly listen to another person without planning our reply, without drifting into distraction, is a rare act of care. When we give our full attention, conversations become deeper, more authentic. The person across from us feels seen, heard, and valued, and bonds naturally grow stronger. Science now affirms what the Buddha taught centuries ago. Mindfulness lowers stress, helps regulate emotions, improves sleep, and even eases anxiety and depression. But beyond the science, its greatest gift is simple. It brings us back to life. Washing dishes becomes an opportunity to feel the warm water on your skin. Walking to the bus stop becomes a chance to notice the sky, the ground beneath your feet, the rhythm of your breath. Ultimately, mindfulness opens a sacred pause in the middle of our busy lives. It creates space between stimulus and response, giving us the freedom to choose wisely rather than react impulsively. With mindfulness, we live with more clarity, more gentleness, and more joy. And as we grow in presence, we don't just heal ourselves. We bring a calming presence into the lives of everyone we touch. Principle 3. Acceptance. Embracing life as it is. In Buddhism, acceptance is not resignation. It is the quiet strength of meeting life as it comes, without demanding that it always bend to our desires. To accept is to see reality clearly, our circumstances, our emotions, and even our own imperfections, and to open the door to peace rather than conflict with what is. Nature shows us this truth in the simplest ways. When the wind presses against a tree, the tree does not fight. It bends, it sways, it yields. In the same way, acceptance invites us to move with the currents of life instead of exhausting ourselves by resisting them. Consider a moment of disappointment. Perhaps you worked hard, yet someone else received the promotion you hoped for. The sting of frustration is natural, but when we cling to it, suffering multiplies. Acceptance does not mean abandoning your dreams. It means acknowledging what has already unfolded, allowing you to redirect your energy toward growth, learning, or new opportunities. Acceptance also softens the way we relate to others. How often do we burden people with unspoken expectations, wishing they would behave differently, act faster, or see things exactly as we do? Take, for instance, a friend who often arrives late. Without acceptance, irritation builds each time. But when we accept their nature, we adjust gracefully, and the weight of resentment lifts. This doesn't mean we stop caring. It means we stop clinging to an image of how others should be. Even more profound is the acceptance we extend to ourselves. We are often harsher judges of our own mistakes than anyone else could be. Yet, Buddhism reminds us that we are all works in progress, unfinished brushstrokes on the canvas of life. When we accept our flaws with compassion instead of condemnation, we create an inner climate of kindness, fertile ground for growth and healing. The benefits ripple outward into both mind and body. Resistance to reality fuels stress and anxiety, which strain our health and cloud our judgment. Acceptance eases this tension, reducing the wear and tear on both spirit and body. With acceptance, the mind finds calm and the body follows. To practice acceptance is not to retreat from life, but to engage it with open eyes and an open heart. It is to say, this is how things are right now. I may wish them different, but I will not let resistance steal my peace. From this grounded place, we find not passivity, but clarity. And in that clarity, joy arises. Not the fleeting joy of things going our way, but the deeper joy of moving in harmony with the truth of life. Principle 4. Patience, the quiet strength of time. In Buddhism, patience is not merely waiting, it is a noble strength, the steady endurance that allows the heart to remain calm while life unfolds at its own rhythm. It is the wisdom of trusting the timing of things, without trying to force, rush, or control what is beyond our hands. Think of planting a seed. You water it, nourish it, give it sunlight, yet no amount of wishing or impatience will make it sprout before its season. Patience is this same trust, understanding that growth has its own sacred timetable, and beauty often arrives slowly, quietly, and in perfect time. In our modern world, this virtue is tested every day. A computer freezes, the line at the grocery store crawls, traffic holds us hostage. Our first impulse is frustration, our hearts speeding ahead of the present moment. But when we practice patience, we learn to notice that frustration without letting it poison our peace. We breathe, soften our grip, and discover that serenity is possible even when circumstances move slowly. In relationships, patience becomes a gift of love. How often do we jump to conclusions, interrupt, or react without truly listening? With patience, we pause long enough to hear, to understand, to give others space to reveal themselves. This simple act transforms conversations into connections and reduces the misunderstandings that come from haste. Patience also plays a central role in personal growth. Changing a habit, learning a skill, or pursuing a dream rarely happens overnight. There will be setbacks, delays, and moments of discouragement. Patience gives us the endurance to keep going, step by step, without demanding immediate results. Without it, we abandon the journey too soon. With it, we arrive transformed. On a deeper level, patience soothes the restless mind. Much of our anxiety and depression arises from the urgency to make life different than it is right now. Patience loosens that urgency. It allows us to accept the present moment, however imperfect, and meet it with calm awareness. In doing so, we release the heavy burden of unrealistic expectations and discover clarity in our hearts. And in this clarity, patience opens the door to joy. It helps us savor the moment we are in, instead of forever chasing the next weekend, the next promotion, or the next milestone. It teaches us that life is not a race towards some imagined finish line. It is an unfolding journey to be fully lived, right here, right now. Ultimately, patience in Buddhism is active endurance, not passive waiting. It is a gentle strength, a resilience that allows us to walk gracefully through storms without losing our balance. By welcoming patience into our daily lives, we cultivate peace, deepen our relationships, and awaken to the quiet beauty of the present moment. Principle 5. Simplicity, the beauty of less. In Buddhism, simplicity is not about deprivation, it is about clarity. It is the art of letting go of what is unnecessary so that what is truly meaningful can shine through. Simplicity invites us to strip away the excess, whether that excess is material possessions, endless obligations, or mental noise, and discover the peace that comes from living lightly. Imagine walking into a room overflowing with clutter. Every surface is crowded, every corner filled, and the weight of it presses down on you. Our minds often feel the same, burdened by unfinished tasks, constant distractions, and desires that never seem satisfied. When we embrace simplicity, it is as if we open a window and allow fresh air to sweep in. We create space for stillness, clarity, and joy. The practice of simplicity often begins with the physical. Clearing out items we no longer use creates not just a tidier space, but a calmer heart. But simplicity is more than cleaning a closet. It is about choosing a way of life. It means learning to say no to commitments that drain us and yes to those that nurture us. It means valuing depth over busyness, quality over quantity, presence over performance. Simplicity also transforms the way we engage with daily activities. In Zen practice, there is great value in doing one thing fully. Eating becomes sacred when you taste each bite with awareness instead of rushing through a meal while distracted. Washing a dish becomes meditation when done with calm attention. By focusing wholly on one thing at a time, we discover that even the smallest tasks can hold unexpected joy. In relationships, simplicity clears the path to genuine connection. When our lives are uncluttered, we have more time, space, and presence to give to the people who matter most. Instead of scattering our attention across countless shallow interactions, we can nurture a few deep, meaningful bonds. And in giving our presence fully, we offer something more valuable than any material gift. On the level of self-growth, simplicity creates the silence we need to hear ourselves again. Without the constant hum of obligations and desires, we begin to notice what truly matters: our values, our passions, our authentic calling. Simplicity clears away the static so that the inner voice of wisdom can be heard. Even the body responds to simplicity. With fewer stressors, our minds are calmer, our hearts beat steadier, and our energy flows more freely. Science confirms what the Buddha knew long ago: a life uncluttered is a healthier life, both mentally and physically. Ultimately, simplicity in the Buddhist sense is not about having less. It is about being more present, more grounded, more alive. When we stop chasing complexity, we discover the quiet richness of ordinary moments. A simple life, far from being empty, overflows with meaning. By walking this path of simplicity, we make room for joy, peace, and freedom to enter and stay. Principle 6. Compassion, the heart that connects us all. In Buddhism, compassion is not simply an emotion, it is a way of being. It is the deep recognition that all beings share in both suffering and joy, and from this recognition flows a natural wish to ease the burdens of others. Compassion is the soft strength that turns empathy into action, reminding us that by lifting another, we rise together. Think of the last time someone showed you genuine compassion. Perhaps it was during an illness, a moment of grief, or a day when life felt unbearably heavy. A simple word, a gentle gesture, or the silent presence of someone who cared. It likely touched you more deeply than you could explain. Compassion is like a lantern in the dark, reminding us that we are not alone. Now imagine extending that same light outward. A kind word, a helping hand, or simply listening with patience can ease the pain of another, and, in the process, soften our own struggles. The beauty of compassion is that it heals in two directions. The one who gives and the one who receives are both nourished. Compassion need not be grand. It can be as simple as carrying groceries for an elderly neighbor, offering a sincere thank you to someone who serves you, or sitting with a friend in silence when words are not enough. These small ripples of kindness spread farther than we realize, weaving an invisible fabric of care that holds communities together. The practice of compassion also transforms the mind. When we shift our attention from our own worries to the well-being of others, the weight of our struggles often lightens. Modern science echoes this truth. Acts of kindness activate areas of the brain linked to joy and calm, reducing anxiety, easing depression, and fostering resilience. Compassion creates a spaciousness in the heart where healing begins. Equally important is the compassion we extend inward. Forgiveness of others begins with forgiving ourselves. When we recognize the flaws and struggles in others, we also learn to accept our own humanity with gentleness. This inner compassion quiets the harsh critic within and replaces it with a kinder voice, one that allows growth instead of shame. On a broader scale, compassion expands into how we live in the world. It inspires us to notice suffering, not just in individuals, but in animals, nature, and society itself. It may move us to live more ethically, perhaps by choosing kindness in what we eat, how we consume, or how we treat the earth. Compassion asks us to live with an awareness that every choice carries weight beyond ourselves. Even the body responds to a compassionate life. Studies reveal that those who live with kindness often enjoy lower stress, healthier hearts, and even longer lives. But perhaps the true gift is less about years added and more about life deepened, lived with meaning, connection, and warmth. In Buddhism, compassion is the bridge that reminds us of our shared humanity. It is seeing another's suffering as not separate from our own, and acting with a heart wide open. By cultivating compassion, we step into a cycle of kindness where giving and receiving merge, creating a more harmonious, gentle, and fulfilling existence for all. Principle 7. Insight. Seeing beyond the surface. In Buddhism, insight is more than knowledge. It is wisdom that penetrates the heart. It is the quiet clarity that arises when we see life as it truly is, not as we wish it to be. Cultivated through meditation, insight becomes the lantern that illuminates the hidden patterns of the mind and the deeper truths of existence. Meditation is the soil where this insight grows. By sitting in stillness, watching the ebb and flow of thoughts, feelings, and sensations, we begin to notice what usually escapes our busy awareness. Perhaps we see how often the mind drifts into future worries that rarely come true, or how it clings to past mistakes long gone. In that quiet observation, the knots of suffering slowly reveal themselves. For example, you might recognize a recurring pattern in how you deal with stress, perhaps reaching for food, snapping at loved ones, or endlessly delaying what matters most. Insight does not scold, it simply shows. And in seeing clearly, you gain the power to respond differently. Rather than forcing yourself into abrupt change, you begin to work with patience, addressing not just the behavior, but its roots. Insight also loosens our desperate need to control outcomes. Many of us live with the belief that there is only one path to happiness, only one version of success. But meditation reveals the truth of impermanence and the fluidity of life. Doors close, but others open. What feels like an ending may be the beginning of something unexpected. With insight, we learn to bend with life rather than break under its weight. This understanding anchors us in the present. When we see the fleeting nature of every experience, joy, sorrow, gain, or loss, we stop chasing what hasn't arrived and clinging to what has already passed. The present moment, often overlooked, becomes enough. And in this enoughness, peace arises. Insight also deepens our relationships. When we realize that every person carries unseen struggles and repeating patterns, our hearts soften. We become more patient, less judgmental, more forgiving. Instead of reacting with irritation, we begin to listen, to understand, to walk alongside others in their humanity. Even the body feels the fruits of insight. Meditation calms the nervous system, lowers blood pressure, strengthens immunity, and eases anxiety. These benefits flow naturally when stress lessens and we live with greater awareness of our needs and limits. Ultimately, insight in Buddhism is about seeing clearly and deeply, not only into our minds but into the very nature of reality. It is understanding that all things are interconnected, impermanent, and ever-changing. From this vision comes freedom, the freedom to stop forcing life, to stop resisting its flow, and to live with harmony, wisdom, and quiet joy. Principle 8. Impermanence, the truth of constant change. At the very heart of Buddhist wisdom lies impermanence, the understanding that everything is in motion, forever changing, never fixed. From the smallest breath to the grandest mountain, nothing remains the same. To embrace this truth is not to lose hope, but to find freedom. For when we stop clinging to what cannot last, we begin to live with deeper peace and appreciation. Nature teaches us this lesson gently. Each year, spring blossoms into summer, summer fades into autumn, and autumn surrenders to winter's stillness. No season stays, yet each carries its own beauty. We only truly appreciate a flower's fragrance because we know it will wilt. We only marvel at autumn leaves because we know they soon will fall. The beauty of life is sharpened by its fleeting nature. So it is with our own lives. Joyful moments, painful struggles, friendships, and even identities, each arises, changes, and eventually passes away. To resist this truth is to suffer. To accept it is to live with grace. A job we enjoy today may end tomorrow, but impermanence reminds us that endings are not failures. They are invitations to new beginnings. A loved one may drift away, but knowing that relationships evolve helps us love more fully while they are here. This acceptance softens our fear of change. Instead of clinging to what is or dreading what might come, we learn to flow with life's currents. We stop trying to make things permanent, and instead, we embrace their transience. In doing so, we reduce stress, cultivate resilience, and discover a flexible strength that helps us meet life with calm. Impermanence also deepens our gratitude. When we recognize that our time, opportunities, and abilities are limited, we stop postponing what matters. We speak the words of love today rather than waiting for tomorrow. We savor the meal while it's warm rather than rushing through it distracted. We cherish the laughter of a friend, knowing that even this moment will pass. And in personal growth, impermanence becomes a source of hope. Struggles, no matter how heavy, are not eternal. This too shall pass is not just comfort. It is a reminder that transformation is always possible. Just as winter gives way to spring, dark times contain within them the seeds of renewal. Even the body reflects this principle. Stress often arises from resisting change, wanting things to stay the same, fearing their loss. But when we embrace impermanence, the body relaxes. Anxiety lessens, sleep deepens, and the heart grows lighter. In the end, impermanence is not something to fear. It is life's greatest teacher. It shows us how to live fully in the present, to honor the beauty of now, and to let go gracefully when the moment passes. To walk in harmony with impermanence is to discover joy, peace, and freedom in every step of this ever-changing journey. Principle 9. Freedom from suffering. Loosening the grip of desire. At the heart of the Buddha's teaching is this truth. Much of our suffering does not come from life itself, but from the way we cling to it. We cling to what we want, and we cling to what we fear losing. In that tight grasp, peace slips away. Freedom arises not from denying desire, but from loosening its hold on our hearts. Desire itself is not the enemy. It is natural to long for love, success, comfort, or recognition. But when desire hardens into attachment, when our happiness depends entirely on its fulfillment, suffering is born. The Buddha compared this to drinking salt water. The more you drink, the thirstier you become. The endless chase leaves us restless, always reaching, never arriving. Detachment does not mean indifference. It means walking toward your goals with balance, with open hands rather than clenched fists. Imagine pursuing a job or relationship you deeply hope for. Detachment allows you to strive sincerely, yet remain at peace even if the outcome is not as expected. Happiness then becomes rooted within, not tethered to circumstances beyond your control. In daily life, this perspective is transformative. Minor irritations, traffic delays, long lines, unexpected setbacks lose much of their power to disturb you. Even major challenges like the loss of work or the ending of a relationship can be met with steadier hearts when we stop tying our worth to outcomes. By focusing less on what happens and more on how we respond, we reclaim control over our well-being. Detachment also shifts us from chasing to appreciating. When we are not endlessly reaching for what we lack, we can finally notice what we already hold. Gratitude blossoms naturally for the people in our lives, for the food on our table, for the quiet breath sustaining us in this very moment. Life becomes lighter when we stop demanding it to be different Importantly, detachment does not extinguish ambition, it refines it. We still work, create, and strive, but now the journey itself carries meaning, not just the destination. This balanced striving prevents the exhaustion that comes from relentless grasping. Progress feels less like a desperate race and more like a mindful walk. In relationships, detachment deepens love. When we release rigid expectations, we can see and accept others as they truly are, rather than as we wish them to be. This acceptance nurtures bonds rooted in authenticity rather than control, allowing love to flow more freely. Even the body feels the liberation. Stress, often born of unfulfilled desires and constant striving, weighs heavily on our health. By softening our attachment, we ease anxiety, lower the burden on the heart, and create space for longevity and vitality. In Buddhism, freedom from suffering is not about renouncing life, it is about embracing it without chains. By loosening our grip on desire, we discover that peace is not found in getting everything we want, but in realizing that we do not need everything to be happy. From this freedom comes serenity, a joy unshaken by change, a calm rooted not in what we hold, but in who we are. Principle 10. Inner peace, the calm that lives within. In Buddhism, true peace is not something the world gives to us. It is something we cultivate within. It is the realization that calm and contentment are not dependent on possessions, achievements, or recognition, but on the state of our own hearts. Inner peace is the quiet refuge we carry, no matter how turbulent the world outside becomes. Picture a mountain lake at dawn. Even when storms pass above, the depths of the water remain still. Inner peace is this depth within us, a steady center that does not rise and fall with every wave of circumstance. It is the strength of knowing that while the winds of life may howl, there is a stillness inside that cannot be shaken. This teaching begins with an important truth. Everything external is temporary. Jobs change, relationships shift, possessions fade. If our peace depends on these, it will be as unstable as they are. Buddhism guides us instead to anchor our serenity in qualities that last: mindfulness, acceptance, compassion, and wisdom. These inner qualities cannot be taken from us, and they form the foundation of lasting tranquility. In daily life, this realization is liberating. When your sense of peace is not tied to whether you are praised or criticized, winning or losing, gaining or losing, you remain balanced. You can enjoy success without becoming enslaved to it, and you can endure setbacks without collapsing beneath them. This resilience allows you to meet challenges with clarity rather than fear. Meditation is one of the surest paths to inner peace. In sitting quietly, observing the flow of thoughts and feelings, we discover that we are not prisoners of the mind. We are the observers. The storm of emotions may pass overhead, but like the sky, we remain vast and unbroken. This shift in awareness brings freedom. Instead of reacting impulsively, we respond with wisdom and calm. When inner peace takes root, it transforms the way we relate to others. No longer easily provoked or thrown off balance, we bring patience and gentleness into our relationships. Our calm presence becomes a refuge for others as well, fostering harmony instead of conflict. Even our bodies reflect this change. Stress, the enemy of health, is often born of inner unrest, the endless grasping and dissatisfaction with what is. As peace settles within, stress loosens its grip. The heart beats more steadily, the mind rests more easily, and the body finds relief. Science affirms what the sages have long known. A peaceful mind supports a healthy body. Ultimately, inner peace awakens us to the richness of life itself. No longer endlessly searching outside us for happiness, we begin to savor the simple treasures already here. The warmth of sunlight, the taste of tea, the quiet company of a loved one. Inner peace is not an escape from life. It is the art of being fully present within it, carrying a sanctuary of calm wherever we go. Principle 11. Gratitude, the art of seeing life as a gift. In Buddhism, gratitude is more than polite thanks. It is a way of perceiving the world. It is the gentle practice of shifting our gaze from what is missing to what is already here. When we live with a grateful heart, every moment becomes a gift, and life itself begins to feel abundant. Imagine opening your eyes each morning with the simple thought, I have been given another day. A day to breathe, to learn, to love, to grow. This awareness, small yet profound, sets the tone for the hours ahead. Gratitude transforms ordinary mornings into sacred opportunities. One powerful practice is keeping a gratitude journal. By writing down even a few blessings each day, the kindness of a stranger, the warmth of sunlight, the taste of a meal, you begin to train the mind to notice goodness. Gratitude sharpens our vision, revealing treasures that busyness and worry often conceal. It also deepens our relationships. A heartfelt thank you can soften walls, heal misunderstandings, and strengthen bonds of love and trust. When people feel seen and valued, connection blossoms. Gratitude, then, is not just for ourselves, it is a gift we give others as well. And in hardship, gratitude becomes a quiet form of resilience. Life will always bring difficulties, but gratitude reminds us that light still exists. A friend's support, a safe place to rest, the courage that carries us forward. These simple recognitions provide perspective and hope. Gratitude does not erase pain, but it balances it with remembrance of the good. Modern science echoes this ancient wisdom. Gratitude has been shown to lower stress, ease the heart, improve sleep, and uplift mental well-being. But beyond the science, gratitude enriches the soul. It opens the heart to joy in the smallest things, the sound of rain, the laughter of a child, the beauty of a single flower blooming by the roadside. Ultimately, gratitude is about presence. It invites us to cherish the now, to honor generosity when we see it, and to remain hopeful even in storms. When we live with gratitude, we not only transform our own hearts, we ripple kindness and joy into the world around us. And in that ripple, life itself becomes a blessing. Principle 12. Harmony with nature, walking with the earth, not against it. In Buddhism, to live in harmony with nature is to remember that we are not separate from it. We breathe because trees exhale. We eat because the soil yields. We exist because rivers flow, sun shines, and clouds bring rain. To forget this interconnection is to live in illusion. To honor it is to rediscover balance, peace, and belonging. Nature is always teaching. A tree does not resist winter. It releases its leaves with grace, trusting that spring will come. A river does not cling to its form. It bends and flows, carving new paths. In these simple movements, nature reveals resilience, adaptability, and impermanence. Buddhism encourages us to live in this same rhythm, flowing rather than forcing, yielding rather than clinging. Harmony with nature is more than admiration, it is stewardship. It means treating the earth not as a possession, but as a sacred home we are entrusted to care for. Reducing waste, planting trees, conserving water, or choosing sustainable habits are not small acts. They are offerings of gratitude to the planet that sustains us. Spending time in nature itself becomes meditation. Walking through a forest, touching the soil of a garden, or sitting beside a stream, these moments quiet the mind and awaken presence. The rustle of leaves, the flow of water, the rise and fall of seasons, each is a living sutra, teaching us about impermanence and interdependence. The benefits flow both ways. Nature heals us as we care for it. Studies affirm what sages knew long ago. Time among trees and rivers lowers stress, steadies the heart, clears the mind, and restores energy. In return, our mindful choices preserve these same forests and waters for future generations. To live in harmony with nature is to shift from ownership to relationship. It is to recognize that we are threads in a vast web of life, neither above it nor apart from it. When we live gently and respectfully with the earth, we enrich our own lives with peace, while ensuring that its beauty endures for those who come after us. Ultimately, harmony with nature is an act of reverence. It is bowing to the mountains, listening to the rivers, honoring the soil beneath our feet. And in that reverence, we discover a truth. By caring for the earth, we are, in fact, caring for ourselves. Principle 13, the middle way, walking the path of balance. At the heart of the Buddha's teaching lies the middle way, the path of balance that avoids the pull of extremes. It is not about mediocrity or compromise. It is about wisdom. It is learning to walk steady on life's narrow ridge, where tipping too far to either side leads to suffering. The Buddha himself discovered this truth after years of searching. First, he lived in luxury, then in severe self-denial. Neither brought him peace. Only when he abandoned both extremes did he find awakening beneath the Bodhi tree. The middle way became his compass, a timeless guide for living in harmony. In daily life, this principle shows up in many ways. It is balance in our habits, enjoying food and rest without falling into excess, and working with diligence without burning ourselves out. It is also balance in our emotions, allowing anger, sadness, or joy to be felt, but not allowing them to control our actions. Like a musician tuning a string, too tight or too loose makes poor music. Only balance creates harmony. The middle way also brings clarity in decision-making. Instead of rigid all-or-nothing thinking, it encourages us to look deeper, to integrate wisdom from both sides, and to act with discernment. Whether in our careers, relationships, or personal challenges, the middle way helps us choose with both courage and compassion. Ambition is another realm where this teaching shines. To chase endlessly is to exhaust the spirit. To abandon striving altogether is to stagnate. The middle way teaches us to walk with purpose, but with mindfulness. To grow, yet not at the cost of our peace. To pursue goals, yet remain free from the chains of obsession. Even in caring for the body, balance is essential. Overexertion strains health. Neglect weakens it. But through mindful balance, fitness and well-being become sustainable, nourishing both body and mind. Ultimately, the middle way is a practice of wisdom and adaptability. It teaches us to move through the complexities of life with grace, never rigid, never careless, but steady and aware. It is a path that nurtures peace, clarity, and fulfillment, not by clinging to one extreme or the other, but by walking calmly through the center. Conclusion: walking the path with wisdom. As we've journeyed through these 13 principles, non-attachment, mindfulness, acceptance, patience, simplicity, compassion, insight, impermanence, freedom from suffering, inner peace, gratitude, harmony with nature, and the middle way, we can see a single thread weaving them all together: balance. Each teaching reminds us that life does not need to be forced, chased, or clung to. Instead, it invites us to live with openness, presence, and trust. Buddhist wisdom is not about escaping the world. It is about walking through it with clarity and peace. It is about seeing clearly that while change is constant, suffering is optional, and freedom is always found within. These principles are not distant ideals. They are daily practices, quiet choices, gentle shifts in perspective that slowly transform the way we live and the way we love. Imagine living each day with this awareness, meeting challenges with patience, nurturing relationships with compassion, cherishing the present through gratitude, and embracing change with grace. Such a life is not perfect, but it is harmonious. It flows like a river, steady yet ever-changing, carrying us toward greater understanding and peace. So, as you step away from this teaching today, remember, the path is not somewhere far away. It is under your feet in this very moment. Begin where you are. practice one principle at a time and allow it to guide you gently forward. With each mindful step, you move closer to the freedom, balance, and joy the Buddha spoke of. If this message resonated with you, take a deep breath and let these truths settle in your heart. And if you feel called, join this growing community, subscribe, share these teachings, and walk this path with us. Together, we can create a ripple of peace in a world that needs it most.